Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
Welcome to This Day in Sports History. It's December 23rd, and this is a fun one to look back on. On this day in 1972, the Immaculate Reception. Now, for everybody, except for Raiders fans, this is always a fun one to talk about and rewatch the amazing NFL films footage captured that day by Ernie Ernst. So the scene is Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. It's the fourth quarter of the AFC divisional playoff game between Oakland and Pittsburgh. The Raiders had just scored their first and only touchdown of the game and led 7-6 when the Steelers got the ball with 1:13 to play and 80 yards to go for the go-ahead score. A couple of Terry Bradshaw completions put Pittsburgh on their own 40, but the drive stalled a bit, leaving the Steelers facing a 4th and 10, or as NFL Films voice John Facenda would later call it, 4th and hopeless. Here's Steelers radio announcer Jack Fleming with the call from that day.
22 seconds remaining, and Bradshaw is back and looking again. Bradshaw running out of the pocket, looking for somebody to throw to, fires it downfield, and there's a collision. It's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Harris is going. 5 seconds left on the clock. Franco Harris pulled in the football. I don't even know where it came from.
Bradshaw's pass was intended for Frenchie Fuqua, and as Fuqua reached for the ball, Jack Tatum delivered a hard hit and the ball ricocheted to Harris, who was trailing the play by about 15 yards. Harris made the catch before it hit the ground, or did he, and took off for the end zone. Steelers fans stormed the field thinking the game was over, which delayed the ruling. Raiders head coach John Madden argued that since it hit Fuqua's helmet and bounced back to Franco, it was not a legal catch, which was the rule at the time. But referee Fred Swearingen and the chief of NFL officials Art McNally conferred, and they ruled that Tatum had touched the ball the same time it hit Fuqua's helmet, and that Harris had not trapped the ball on the ground, and ruled it a legal catch, and the touchdown stood. The Steelers won the game, but lost the following week. But many credit this game as the spark to the Steelers' dominance in the postseason to come, as Pittsburgh would win 4 Super Bowls in the next 10 years. Interesting fact, the term Immaculate Reception was first used by Pittsburgh sportscaster Myron Cope later that night on his 11 o'clock sportscast. One of his viewers, Sharon Levosky, called the station that night and suggested the name. Also on this day in history, in 1982, one of the greatest all-time sports upsets happened, as the Chaminade Silver Swords beat Ralph Sampson and the Virginia Cavaliers 77-72. Chaminade was a member of the NAIA at the time. Virginia was ranked number 1 in the NCAA, and Sampson was the 3-time National Player of the Year. And in 2022, Alex Ovechkin scored twice to move past Gordie Howe and into second place on the NHL's all-time goals scored list. That's all for today. When you have a moment, rate and subscribe and tell your sports-crazy friends and family about the podcast. Thanks for listening, and I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network, and we're able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website, seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.